Alright, now that I've finally seen it in light of its recent greenlighting for season 2 and the highly anticipated Spider-Man Brand New Day dropping this week, I've got my tickets to it. I present my thoughts on the first season of last year's new animated take on the character, fittingly titled Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and it is something of a reimagined take on the origin story, which uses elements from other incarnations from the recent blockbuster movies, all the way back to the early comic book stories, creating their own. So, let's begin. As my catch up of other shows I've not seen yet, or at least not finished yet, on the road to Doomsday, created and live action adaptations. This one was prioritizing, and personally, I honestly really like how they deliberately anachronistic look and feel of the show, where the fact that a lot of people still dress like it's the 60s is while also having haircuts that are a bit more recent, with the presence of smart devices and smart modern looking cars also adding to a much more blurred line. I won't get into much detail, but I kind of like how this continuous version of Norman Osborn and flipped the script on the usual dichotomy between Peter and his relationship with Tony Stark in the main timeline. Also, the document began as more direct connection to that one before they started going a different direction, albeit still hinting that events from that time that happened in this one, and, including the Sokovia Accords. Or it's the I also quite amused by how they handle the Rogues Gallery with not as familiar villains like the Scorpion and Dr. Octavius also getting some unique depictions, but also how they work in more lesser known characters like Tombstone, which they've really been trying to get more out there lately. They heck, they even managed to take the infamous Rocket Racer, which is something of like a joke villain in the comics other adaptations, and actually managed to make him a somewhat decent threat. That's being a thief and gangster in a kind of Bonnie and Clyde relationship, and actually finding a way to make the enhanced rollerblades and gear work. And likewise, I kind of like how they handle different versions of Peter's suit, where now I can add like the joking about hockey pads to both DC and Marvel adaptations as well. Oh, and the a kind of almost Apple-esque white suit that he gets as a prototype before he adopts the usual red and blue costume we all know and love of, and also how the Parker look means that even with all these powers, he cannot be everywhere at once. Means that sometimes bad things do happen to good people, and I won't say how they work in the in what happened to his parents, Richard and Harry, but even I will admit it threw me for a loop. Not, though it is implied that the usual whole espionage was a storyline as a factor. I mean, and even with some of the things I said, I think there are ways to decouple the origin story, to parts of the origin story with him getting his powers after what happened to his Uncle Ben. And even I usually want is like an officer coming to their apartment and telling him and there was a robbery at Lee and Ditko's deli. I mean, or Benjamin tried to intervene, but he he was taken out of the scene. On some versions, Huns even have as a connection to Miles' version of character. The officer brings the bad news being his fault, even. I will say that I really like the whole animation style with especially the color palette, and you can tell it's in 3D, but they actually have a lot more elements in 2D animation graphic novels almost being implemented. It reminds me a little bit about that one they actually had on MTV of all places in 2000s, but it didn't last too long, and they were clearly more limited in that time frame what CG could do. Who and with that in mind, I also really like the music. It was like especially the theme song, which is a samples the one from the Medic one from the '60s into like a rap beat, which nice little blend of old and new that I always enjoy. Heck, a lot of of great early rap songs are actually built on samples from other tracks. And I'm also curious to see what they'll do in season two. Who since with what other villains they could have in there. I mean, again, like the variety of not just that's relatively big name people like the Chameleon, and they also seem to be dropping heavy hints that the Lizard and the Vulture will be in play. So again, with the aforementioned Octavius, that's by my count at least 2/3 of Sinister Six right there. I mean, yeah. Overall, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man may not be my favorite anime version of the character, but it's definitely entertaining, and look forward to seeing what they'll come up with for stories in season two. That'll be all for now, and I'll see you all tomorrow with my look at Spider-Man Brand New Day. See you around soon, true believers.